Why is it important for your writing not to get corrupted?
You're sitting on 2 billion stories, and yet we are just adapting XYZ shows from this or that country or Spain or UK because they've worked there.
You've written Tumbad as well.
I've
Writing
made
is something-
Tumbad.
You one of the writers.
I'm also the creative director and the producer, and the executive producer, creative director. We did not invest in discourse. We did not invest in young people, and suddenly we are bankrupt. Suddenly we are like, oh, now we have the money, we have the space, we have these platforms that the West has just gifted us. We didn't invent any of these platforms. We didn't invent the technology behind that. I think of cinema or gaming or poetry or literature or theatre as tools. Tools to do what? Tools to transmit our wisdom, our insights, our anxieties to each other.
It's a huge privilege to have a genius filmmaker Anand Gandhi with me here at IFFI Goa. Pleasure having you with us on Bollywood Hungama.
Thank you so much.
All right, a very, very enlightening session that you and your team just had about the future of filmmaking, gaming, and the way the entire synthesis you guys spoke about. It was really, I think, a huge revelation personally for me as someone covering this. How do you look at this blending of various mediums?
I think of them as tools. I think of cinema or gaming or poetry or literature or theatre as tools. Tools to do what? Tools to transmit our wisdom, our insights, our anxieties to each other. And in doing that, we ensure that the generation afterwards, that comes after, doesn't have to repeat our mistakes, that learns the best and throws away the rest. And a fashion designer does not really get asked which sewing machine they are using. But storytellers spend an awful bunch of time cataloging and separating game from film from theatre. For me, they're all the same. They're all possibilities and technologies and tools that we have invented for a very, very continuous purpose.
All right. Okay, and it was a very engrossing conversation. So, let me take a few questions from the conversation itself. Sure. One of your team members, he said that it's important, as far as our responsibility is concerned, what are the stories that we should tell, that people should know about, and maybe certain stories that we should not tell. It was a very interesting sort of premise that he spoke about. Would you like to elaborate something?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's it's lesser a function of what we should not or stories that we should not tell than a function of stories that we should curate and the stories that we allow to filter in. And as long as we reverse engineer everything from a collective purpose, and that's a collective purpose that the civilization has held for a very, very long time, which is to create a civilization that is non-violent, that is non-predatory, hopefully, where more and more people can live life with more and more comfort and certainty, where more and more individuals, and hopefully everyone, has access to food, water, dignity, insight, education, and opportunity. And if we are all agreeing that that's a kind of society, that's a kind of civilization we need to create, then reverse engineer everything from there. Then let's just reverse engineer what stories would get us there, and what stories would lead us to war and battle and conflict. And even a child will be able to tell one from the other.
Right. I think that's a very interesting point. That's a very interesting point. So in the afternoon, I spoke to this Bengali actress. Her name is Pauli Dam. So she's part of this movie called Abhijan, which is based on the great Soumitra Chatterjee. And there you get glimpses of Satyajit Ray and Uttam Kumar and the giants and what they really stood for. And it's not merely storytelling that they were responsible for. They were responsible for the growth of intellectual development in India. They documented the growth of intellectual development in India. Do you find that, in a way, that's a huge purpose solved as far as a filmmaker is concerned?
I think that's the only purpose. A filmmaker's self-assigned job is to gather the greatest breakthroughs in our understanding as a civilization, the greatest insights that we have, the greatest wisdom, the greatest anxieties and warnings that we have as a civilization, as a zeitgeist, and convert them into intuitions that everyone can access. So that's really the only job. There is no other job for a filmmaker. Anybody who is not doing that is not even using the medium well enough. So that's really the only job. Satyajit Ray was doing his job. Kabir was doing his job of doing the exact same thing, and that's what I say very often, that if Kabir was around today, he would perhaps use poetry and cinema. And I have modified that to say that if Kabir was around today, he would probably also make games. He'll also design games, because that's really the medium that an entire generation is speaking to each other in. That's a new language that's emerging. So, and I feel similarly about Ray. I feel if Ray was around today, he would also be as interested in game design as he was in using the language of cinema. So, because the purpose is continuous. The purpose is exactly what you said, is to inform the intellectual evolution of the society around you, of the community around you, and to be the conduit, being the interface that takes in everything, that takes the best ideas, the best insights, the biggest warnings, and brings them all together on a plate that is well served, that is very easy, and that is delicious, and that's accessible to everyone.
Okay, so you've written Tumbad as well.
I've
writing
made
is something.
Tumbad.
You one of the writers.
I'm also the creative director and the producer, and the executive producer, creative director, and the writer.
My question is related to writing primarily. So we are aware of the fact that about the production part of it. So my question is, as a writer, what is the importance of telling the story the way you want to tell, instead of getting corrupted by the influences around you, maybe commerce, maybe other considerations that may be circulating all around?
Well, commerce is a consequence of providing value to the community. So if you are providing value to the community, and that's why I was inviting you to my studio over here, we live really well. All our filmmakers and creators live a life of great comfort, and I would almost dare to say luxury, and that's a consequence of us producing wealth for society. That's a consequence of generating intellectual wealth, cultural wealth, social wealth in the community that we are a part of, in the world that we are a part of. And commerce is just a consequence of that. Commerce is a consequence of you saving somebody's time in figuring something out, you giving a solution at scale to a large number of people who would have otherwise wasted so many human hours or so many human days or years in figuring that out. And as a storyteller, when you're doing that with responsibility, with insight, with rigor, you are providing value at scale. And society will pay you back. There is no way around it. I am a commercial filmmaker. People don't realize that about me. In fact,
you're Gujarati after all.
I'm a Gujarati after all, and I've given more ROI than a lot of commercial films can claim with pretty much every project I've done. We produce games today which are the highest selling strategy board games India has ever produced. When I produce a non-fiction film, when I produced a documentary feature, it was the biggest theatrical release that a documentary feature had ever seen, and the theatrical run that a non-fiction feature has ever seen in an insignificant manner. So I think of myself as a filmmaker standing within the business. I'm very deeply grounded in a sense of in the reality of commerce, that because there are so many livelihoods attached to what we do. I'm not an artist sitting in one place and doing something and giving something to the world. I'm bringing hundreds of people together constantly. So there is a lot of economy involved with that, and I'm very cognizant of it, and I feel a great sense of responsibility towards that. So I think I really do think of myself as more commercial than most people who claim to be commercial filmmakers in the region.
Question was about writing. Why is it important for your writing not to get corrupted?
What is corruption? I really don't know what.
Okay, so corruption, by corruption I mean many a times we hear these.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
the second guess
filmmakers are being
trends.
told,
Yeah, what filmmakers are being told is to second guess audience trends. So there, if you were to kind of really break it down to maybe a reduction even, it's two kinds of writing, right? Two kinds of filmmaking. One is that where you give audience what they want. The second is where you give audiences what they ought to want, but they don't yet want, or they don't yet know how to want. Now, the second one is, of course, more complicated and more risky.
Right.
You're giving them what is right for them, what they ought to want, but they just don't have the knowledge systems, they don't have the inquiry systems, they don't have the questions yet in their minds formed fully to want that. But the moment you give it to them, it's like the evolution of the visual medium itself. Once you give it to them, there is almost no going back. Once you move from a VHS to DVD, you can barely watch a VHS. Once you move from a DVD to a 4K, streaming show, you can almost not go back to the DVD. Likewise, when you move from a smaller framework to a broader framework of knowing yourself and knowing the world and knowing and understanding it through story, you cannot go back to the previous one.
Okay, so we are at a very, very, very interesting precipice in I think as far as entertainment is concerned, and especially in the gaming industry, like which is something that you guys spoke about wonderfully, and we are having, I think, the future in terms of metaverse, the gaming coins. It is something that is already huge, and in the coming days, it's going to be something really big. The way you guys are blending an element of education or maybe politics in through the games, I found that very fascinating, because the young minds, they are very impressionable. They tend to absorb whatever is thrown at them.
Yeah.
So in a way, this subtle education, what was the idea behind it, and why is it important not to make it preachy?
It's the idea comes from understanding how biology works. The fact that kittens play, puppies play, the young of every species plays, and human children also want to play. But we want to take them away from play because of a very mature reason. We understand as grown-ups that they ought to understand how the world works. And the world does not work by hiding from something, by seeking something, by running away from something, by catching something. That's child play. The world works in forums and conversations and discourses that are far more complex, where you have to build bridges and send rockets to Mars for mining material, for building and rebuilding Earth, and you have to save the environment. It's a very, very complex universe. So we created a system called education. The grown-ups created a system over the last 2,000 years where we sit young people down and we talk at them. But we have invented a synthesis. We have found a way of bringing this and this together. We have found a way of using game, which is what young people are naturally attracted to, and not just young humans. Like I said, young of every species is naturally attracted to, because it's learning. They learn in safe environments how to deal with the real world. But the human real world is not a jungle anymore. So children are learning how to be in jungle, how to run and seek and hide and punch and pull, but they are not learning how to solve hunger crisis or the climate crisis. So what we have managed to do is use the instincts of games and plug education into that, plug learning into that. So every step of the way, you feel as excited as you feel in a primitive experience like PUBG, where you're actually just shooting someone. So you create the same excitement, but what you're doing here is actually solving climate crisis, solving a hunger crisis, solving some crisis, or even inventing a tool that never existed before. And as you go along playing this game, you come out of it a learned person, like you would expect. I mean, it's a little difficult to imagine for people because the two have not spoken to each other for generations. Games and education have seemed to be unrelated, completely, in fact, contradictory experiences. We have synthesized the two.
Okay, last couple of questions. There are a lot of the fan following that you have. They would want to see more films from you. They would want to see web shows from Anand Gandhi. Why are you depriving them?
Yeah, I really want to make them. I think there is a churning going on right now in our cultural landscape. There is an explosion of these new media, and I don't think we have learned to use them yet. And I can't claim that I've learned to use them either. But collectively, as a group of people, we've really not learned to use it, and that's why we are falling back. I mean, listen. Here's the thing: we're a country of 1 billion people. If you say that even if every person has at least 2 stories to tell, one of theirs and one of somebody they love, right, or somebody they hate, you're sitting on 2 billion stories, and yet we are just adapting XYZ shows from this or that country or Spain or UK because they've worked there. I can't imagine why we are not getting together as a community and saying this is intellectual bankruptcy, creative bankruptcy of the highest order. Right. This is a crisis. Somehow for 2-3 generations we did not invest in thinking. We did not invest in discourse. We did not invest in young people like creators that you just met. We did not invest in them. And suddenly we are bankrupt. Suddenly we are like, oh, now we have the money, we have the space, we have these platforms that the West has just gifted us. We didn't invent any of these platforms. We didn't invent the technology behind that. Yes, Indians went to the US and invented them, but we didn't invent them as a community.
Of course.
And they've been handed over to us, and they've been like, make some money off this. And so now we are like people are just going crazy, doing things that just don't make any sense, don't have any value for anyone. I mean, most people I know have like stopped watching things on platforms even now.
I'll repeat my question once again. When can they get a film or a web show from you?
नहीं तो ये इसका long answer इसलिए था क्योंकि when people allow me to. The answer is that I am more than willing to make things and more than happy to make things. I'm hoping for the infrastructure to fall into place that I can make things the way it needs to be made. I do not want to make things in a way anymore which puts us behind our peers anywhere in the world. I do not want to be an apology of a filmmaker. I do not want to be an apology of an author. I do not want to say India के लिए अच्छा है.
No, I think people are making films out of your Gujarati play. Yeah. So I think I'm sure that you can make your own stories and work as well. Last question to you. Say you've been I think part of the jury I think in the past 48th IFFI I think you were head of the jury.
Steering committee.
You're in the steering committee. A festival like this in a place like Goa, what does it do for Indian films and the entire culture of filmmaking in India?
Yeah, a lot of young people come here, and that's why I'm here. I'm here for the youth. I'm here for the youth that comes from Kerala, from Bengal, from Gujarat, from Tamil Nadu, from Goa. They come from everywhere, and you'd bump into people all the time, and people who are full of curiosity and enthusiasm and do not have excess. And it's a very good entry point for them to access what's happening in the world, for them to have a sense of what's going on, what kind of conversations, what kind of ideas are being discussed in the world. But increasingly, they have that access in internet. They have that access on their phones these days, increasingly. And yet, cinema continues to be a very, very powerful medium, a medium of, like somebody mentioned, empathy generation, of generating understanding and cognition in you that there is a world outside of the little kind of rabbit hole that you found yourself in, the little, and that's really important. So again, filmmakers are self-assigned storytellers. They're self-assigned. They've assigned themselves this job, and most filmmakers forget what that job is. That job is not to just make anything and show up and hope that is of any value to anyone. The job is to truly seek value, to truly seek things that will inform behavior and beliefs of an entire generation in a positive way, in a way that is progressive, in a way that takes humanity forward, not behind, towards an equitable society, and find those ways and tell stories. And if young filmmakers see at least a glimpse of that from cinema around the world, I think they will start doing a little bit more of that with their work.
No, absolutely, and I think empathy generation, that is a word that the term you use constantly in the session as well. And I genuinely hope that the mic should be given to Anand Gandhi. His voice should reach out to more people because he makes a lot of sense. So thank you very much, and I hope that you have a great time. Thank you so much.
Really nice talking to you.
That's all we have from Bollywood Hungama. Keep on watching.